Guy just gets like a looming frog face popping out of the dome.
Yeah, he jumps in panic, but when he sees that it's you,
All right.
he like fairly timidly asks, so we were informed that the devil is awake.
Hang on. Let me double check. Crackle, look over at Giles.
He is standing there, kind of arms folded over his chest, tapping nails against his own arm.
Yep. Rock sticks their face back out the dome. Yep.
Right. Does your band have any plans as how to deal with that? Because Soul is currently in full panic, trying to rack his brains as to how to put the devil back to sleep, and has come up with a fairly risky plan, and we're all getting a bit worried.
Ooh, okay. Well, at the moment, we have him quite calm, if a little bit peeved, um, and
Those are opposite emotions.
um, okay, you caught me. I don't know emotions very well, but he's managing to keep his wrath under control at the moment, and we have been very careful not to jeopardize that.
Right.
On account of us not wanting to be killed. Uh,
Can I
so,
see?
Nope.
uh, unfortunately, don't think you can pass through the dome. So at the moment, no. Sorry.
Okay, it's just Soul's getting a bit panicked because none of you have the marks that we have to protect you from devil influence, and you've been in this cave with the devil for hours. We haven't seen you. You're saying he's conscious and that everything is fine?
Oh, do they not know that they were being influenced by the shaman?
Oh, maybe not. Yeah, does Saul not realize that like the shaman was controlling his mind?
I'm sorry, what?
The shaman, that the orc shaman was controlling Saul's mind.
If this is
Does he
out of
not realize?
character, that was determined like when it was first revealed.
This is random cultist who wasn't in the room when that happened. This is like the second room that was the guard post near the orc shaman. So like this guy hasn't been filled in. So that it looks like it's news to this cultist that Soul was under control.
Yeah, when we came to stop the shaman from dominating and taking control of the pit fiend and doing his weird devil worship thing, Saul stopped the other cultists from helping us. He just kept saying, "Oh no, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. The shaman is our friend."
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's worrying.
Didn't a couple of cultists go with you?
Oh, aye.
And there are a couple of cultists in the dome. You guys haven't let them leave, so that they're now looking to you whether they're allowed to speak up.
Yeah, if you want to.
We're in here, says the Tiamat worshipper among them.
Yep. Mr. Serious, could you stick your head out and just let this guy see you know, we didn't eat your liver or whatever?
That's oddly specific. Anyway, the cultist gets up, he sticks his head out, and he kind of says, "Look, I know Soul's a good leader, but maybe it would be best. I know this is suspect because I've been in the cave with the devil, but maybe it would be best if we just hold off on any mad plans for now. Is Soul doing okay?" And the cultist just slow shakes his head at the I'm gonna call him the cult fanatic and the cultist. So like, there's the guy in the red hood and the guy with the black collar, and
Yeah.
the guy with the black collar is like slow shaking his head, and the cult fanatic is like, okay, all right. So I was in the room. Soul was acting very weird. That what they're saying is true. The shaman was we at least manipulating Soul somehow, if not magically, then no, it must have been magic. He was so weird when he came back. He just completely changed his mind on everything. So
And
right now, maybe Soul shouldn't be making decisions until he's
rested.
yeah, maybe he should sleep on it. Maybe you should urge him to rest because it seems like things are handled right now. So maybe report that the devil's inactive, which isn't a lie. And he looks over to Giles, and Giles is just like, hmm. But like he's not moving. He is just standing there with his arms like folded. And the cultist black collar just full disclosure, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can trust any of you. You've been in the cave with the devil. The devil is conscious. He could have manipulated you. If the shaman was manipulating Soul, then we're obviously not immune to manipulation, but that means none of us are immune to manipulation. So all bets are off right now.
Yeah. At this point, John's gonna stand up and poke his head through the dome.
Ah,
Not enough. Not enough to make it go away.
Hang up, and Croc like shimmy along so that John can address the guy.
Thank you.
Hang
Yeah.
on,
We had someone in the room when Soul was talking to the shaman, and they reported to us that the shaman was using the mark to command Soul.
the devil protection mark.
Yeah, that's the one.
if that's what
Um,
it is.
Oh, fuck.
I've seen the machinations of that mark in action, and there's a lot going on. I don't know that everything that you've been told is entirely true about its protective qualities.
So
With
so the
this,
cultist like lifts a hand and like takes a deep breath and is like, okay, so as it stands, we can't trust anyone with the mark. We can't trust anyone without the mark. We couldn't trust the shaman, but the shaman's dead. We can't
correct.
trust the devil, but the devil's awake.
Well, actually,
Can't trust Soul because he was being mentally manipulated. But we don't have any other leader.
so your plan is Mexican standoff where no one trusts anybody and we're all just holding daggers to everyone's throat?
He shakes his head and is like, I'm not planning. I'm just trying to get a lay of the land right now.
Oh, shit's fucked. But
That
we got,
was the conclusion I was coming to as well.
but it's handled.
Those are opposite things.
Yes,
Mirroring exactly what he said to Karag earlier in the conversation.
Our party's back on that.
it's they're opposites, but not really. Like everything that was going on here with you guys and the shaman, it was handled. But the whole world, shit's fucked. So it all depends on what particular subset of information you're looking at.
Right. So it's levels of being fucked up.
Always has been, mate.
Okay.
The important thing now, I believe, is just to not do anything crazy or rash and to take it a step at a time and let everything go slow. There's no impending immediate danger, but
Why?
there's no reason to get drunk and have a party either. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Why do you have a barrier blocking anyone from getting in or out of this room?
Oh, very simply put, we weren't sure what was going to happen with the marks after the shaman died. And when I went to go see what was going on, you guys kind of killed my owl. So I was unable to observe you guys. So it
Oh,
was
that
like,
was your owl.
yeah.
You didn't think to like put a note on his claw or on his beak?
But we heard like earthquakes and shit, so we weren't sure if we were under attack. There wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare.
Right.
But noted for next time. I'll have one of those notes just ready to go.
And how long are you going to keep this barrier up?
Just another couple hours.
Couple hours. Okay.
And then it'll fade away on its own.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else I should report back to Sol?
We could all use some rations. If you had something cooked up.
We would usually leave that to the orcs, but most of them are dead, so...
Most of them are dead, and the rest don't know that the rest of them are dead. So that's something that's a little fucky too. Can you
I'll
say
add it to the list.
power vacuum?
Oh, I'd rather not. Is some of the tribe alive outside of the orcs?
Rug's head appears above John and goes, "Yep," and I'm quite kind of. I've been talking to them.
So there are still some hunters alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be.
Alright. I need to go report back, and I'll see if we can't get Sol to calm down and maybe rest without a... And he trails off because he can't think of a way that that's going to go well.
You want?
If you can't do it, let me know. I'll handle it.
Handle it how?
I think Al's talking about bonking him on the head so he can have a sleep.
Yeah, have you ever had a drunk person at a pub that needs to go to sleep? Yeah, Al's the guy that puts him to sleep.
He just stares at the exposed faces that are there right now and slowly shakes his head and is like, no, I think that's a sure way to escalate things, and I'm trying to de-escalate.
Right, fair enough.
Okay, well, I'll leave you here. We'll return in a few hours when the barrier's going to come down, and then we can assess the situation, right? You're not going to stop us coming in?
I have no plans to at the moment.
Yeah,
We're all-
unless Sol decides that he wants to kill us, then everything's good.
All right then. And the cultist is gonna go. At that point, the cult fanatic and the cultist of the claw are like, can like now that words have been exchanged, can we all, or do we still need to stay?
Well, I'm going to put it to you guys. What do you think is the right? What do you think is the play here? Do you want to be alone with Sol? He, correct me if I'm wrong, but you two have got these allegedly devil protection runes carved onto your skin, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
the cultist of the claw is currently looking at his through his clothing.
You're not maybe slightly concerned that Sol could exert influence over you with that? Because I am.
I am now.
You saw the shaman do it to him, and now that he's no longer under the shaman's control but has all the shaman's work.
Yes,
Just
that is
saying.
incredibly concerning.
Yeah. There's also the thing that they think that you could potentially be compromised by either us or the devil or both. So they might not welcome you back necessarily with open arms, but rather trepidatious concern.
Yes,
one-
which is why I would rather get back sooner than later.
Yeah. Are they prone to making rash decisions? Or do you think that they're trustworthy enough to place your lives in their hands?
In the past, I've generally seen that they're not prone to rash decisions, but we've never had a situation quite this dire before. In my entire adult life of being here, the Pit Fiend has never been awake. We've never got into this room. It's been an uneasy status quo with the orcs. We haven't had a bunch of very powerful adventurers kill their way in here through the orc tribes and upset the balance. Everything is off balance right now, and we need to get back and see if we can't calm things down.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think that our group, and John looks to Kruak, stands to lose anything by having you go. I mean, we're all still tenuous allies. Our idea is to depose the Dragon Queen and return this land to the mortals.
Yep.
So as long as that remains true, we have nothing to lose by cooperating.
Right. So we should go?
Only if you want to.
You
Like,
can go.
We're not kicking you if you want to.
No, we want to go. We want to get back to Soul and try and calm him down.
Okay, well, I'm gonna wish you the best of luck with that.
What kind of vibes,
My
Mr. DM, am I getting from them? Does it feel like they're just... Does it still feel like they're on side, or does it feel like they're greedily seeking to leave our presence to go spill all of the tea about what's been happening since they've been here?
Make me an insight check, but you are mostly talking to the cultist of the claw, who is very difficult to read because he's a proper monk. Even when stuff happens, he's mostly stone faced. With a 22 insight, you still believe they're mostly on side, but like, this is the one monk of the group, and it's been reported that Soul's going a bit like panicky. It sounds a lot like he's literally been saying he wants to get back there and calm things down. It sounds like he wants to go like try and counsel Soul into like not just suddenly going off the deep end.
Okay. Yeah.
Before they leave, I will like grab the arm of the monk and look him straight in the eye and be like, for the sake of everyone's survival, might be a good idea to give us a heads up if your leader decides he's into that demon worship shit as well.
Assuming I don't get mind controlled, I will let you know as soon as he starts showing signs of demon or devil worship.
Well, there might be something that I could do before you leave. There's a chance that I could remove the mark, if that's something that you would want.
Like carve it off my skin?
Magically, not physically.
Well, but then they'll think the devil managed to remove it and, mind control them as well.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation right now, and I think time is of the essence. I want to get to Soul and see if I can't diffuse this before it becomes a situation. So, if you don't mind, I will be taking my leave.
Aye, that seems fair. Would you like me to cast a spell on you that will prevent you from being charmed, frightened, and possessed by fiends and other extraplanar things?
I'm going to say no to all spellcasting at the moment because that was similar to. I mean, that's what we were told. These were protective wards, and we're now learning they were to aid mind control. So, to be fair, I don't want to fall for the same thing twice. I will take my chances as I am.
Quite fair.
So when he says no spellcasting, I'm gonna cast Mage Hand to do Jazz Hands.
He stares at you blankly for too long.
Not funny, didn't laugh.
What can you do?
Not that.
So yeah, no, you're free to go. The barrier will let you out.
Okay. With that, they're gonna shuffle off. They will disappear back to Soul section, and you guys are left with yourselves and Giles.
Right. Cool. Yep.
Alright, John, what's the plan?
Not to get fucked.
Okay, well, we knew
So,
that last night. Okay, you are going to extrapolate. Okay.
yes. Okay. So, did some research on the spike. Turns out it should be incredibly easy for you or me or whoever is exerting influence over the spike to simply release Giles. That should be easy as pie to do.
Okay.
So that's the biggest concern taken care of. We're still a matter of the contract,
Yep.
which I should have spent more time, I guess, drafting up a document. Oh boy. Okay. But there's the contract, and I guess that's next. And then,
Right.
oh boy, do we want to summon an imp for Giles so he can see the lay of hell before we
I mean,
carry on negotiations?
I'm still down for that idea, aye. If you're good for it.
Anyone else have any ideas?
What's the point if we're letting him go anyway?
Well, it could reveal new information that makes letting him go or him going to the Hells seem like a bad idea. So it's like
Right.
we're going to release him. He's going to go to the Hells. He's going to go back into the Devil hierarchy. But Tiamat runs everything. He's just going to be thrown at us. That's not good. I don't know. You know me. I like to have more information than necessary before I make a decision. So I'm asking
Yeah,
you
it's
guys.
just an unnecessarily added risk, you know. The imp or whatever the fuck you summon could just go back to hell and, you know, negotiate that, hey, I met a pit fiend with a bunch of adventurers and wherever the fuck we are in exchange for not being demoted again.
I mean, that's
It's hell.
possible.
That's the point.
But Giles made it sound like he had minions that were loyal to Giles.
Aye, that he could send down, like, demoted so that they couldn't reveal information.
Yeah, but that was millennia ago before he got captured. And I don't know about devils, but they don't sound the most loyal things to me.
I mean, they are a lawful society. I mean, I imagine that they would be loyal enough.
Like, loyal to a contract, I think, is the whole point.
And certainly loyal to themselves. I mean, how long does it take to get in good with a pit fiend? You don't want to just throw that away.
Shrug.
Well, why don't you go ask him, John?
Oh, son of a bitch. Okay,
Sorry, I'll come with you. Don't worry.
it's okay. I just, well, if the cultists come back, the barrier won't be here, and they'll think that we lie.
Okay, you not just, like, stick your head out and talk to Giles.
Oh, that's a good plan. And then if he decides he doesn't like what I have to say and tries to blow me up, I'll be protected behind this force field.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or at least your body will.
Right.
Oh, I have an out of character question that I just remembered.
What is the question?
Are we still carrying around the corpse of the Knight's Lord?
That's on the cart upright.
Yes, and the cart is not in the cave.
Okay, cool. So we do still have a random corpse laying around somewhere.
Somewhere.
Somewhere, but not with you currently.
Okay. I'm gonna stick my head out
Mm-hmm.
of the dome and call out, "Good morning."
And the head of the pit fiend just turns towards you. Like, it doesn't look like he slept at all. He doesn't look like tired or anything, but he hasn't moved. He's still like just standing.
Is it because you don't need to sleep? Or because you've been asleep for the last X umpteen amount of time?
Did you poke your head out to ask me how I slept?
No, no, I did not. We each know what the other wants.
That was established yesterday.
Yes, let's hammer out some terms.
Mm-hmm.
So, power for your freedom. Relatively standard. Plus, you want things to go back to the way that they were in the Hells, maintaining the demons and doing your job.
Yes.
And not having Tiamat fucking everything up.
Are you going to put that in the contract?
Doing your job?
It's something I plan to do regardless.
How do I tell a pit fiend that I've never made a contract without telling a pit fiend that I've never made a contract?
Well,
You don't say it out loud like you just did.
That was out of character.
mhm. I mean, if you want to poke your head back into the barrier and like consult with your party first for ideas, you can do, but Giles is observing you directly at the moment.
Rock's just gonna pipe up and say, big guy, I think I have explained to you my newness to this world. You know, grew up in a swamp, 3 years old.
Are you talking to Giles or John?
Giles.
And Giles is staring at you, but he's not necessarily responding verbally.
Can you explain to me what the process is normally for one of these contracts?
I usually sit behind a desk with a pen and parchment. I write out a contract, then it is passed to the other party. It is reviewed. Clauses are marked to be edited. Edits are discussed, and we go back and forth until both parties are confident that the contract is to both of our approval. Then it is signed, which makes it binding.
Okay. So, unfortunately, Dany have a desk for you. Can you? Is that something that you can summon, or do we need to find that for you?
How expensive could a desk be?
And like the parchment and everything, like, can you just make that appear, or?
I have mundane paper we could get this hammered out on, and I'm going to pull out the useful object that I was using as a wand, and I'll have it shift into a clipboard.
Okay. Giles is just gonna take that seat and like rest it against the wall so that the flat back of it is like, level, and then just pat the top of that and go, this will do.
Grog will take some parchment and whatnot and take it over. So I think what we're going with is we are having an allegiance. We are freeing you from this imprisonment. You are giving John
A sizable amount of power
aye.
from now until the contract is fulfilled or until I die.
without taking possession of him,
Yeah.
and that we will
We will endeavor to maintain your freedom and to remove Tiamat's grip on the world, because that's something that at least I'm setting out to do. I
So
can have that.
while you're speaking, like, have you handed him like parchment, quill, ink, all of that stuff?
yeah. If John's providing it,
Yeah, I'll be pulling out of my backpack.
Yeah, and he is
transferring it over.
he is setting like paper down, has quill in hand, and is scribbling. Like, it's weird seeing such like a big, like powerful creature write so efficiently, but like it's beautiful, legible writing being written very rapidly on parchment at a size that like it's regular, like human-sized writing in common, and he is a pit fiend. So to him, like this little square of paper isn't even the size of the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
But he is writing out a contract. You can't exactly like see from the position you're at what he's writing, but he's listening to you explain stuff and is scribbling.
Something else that I feel should be stipulated is our, how should you put it, continued cooperation during this time, where we each seek to serve each other's mission.
The
Oh,
alliance,
whoa.
That's a wee bit broad and open.
Well,
the alliance to each other is one of the main terms of the contract that will need clarification.
very much so.
Generally, an alliance of this type is merely an understanding to not conflict with each other's goals. However, would there be a stated shared goal? For example, an enemy that we both share, that we agree that if that enemy should challenge either party, the other should be compelled to come and give aid. That can be done. However, if we're to make it so broad as any servant of Tiamat, we're going to have to live in each other's pockets.
I was thinking more like Tiamat herself, and if you're open to it, the regional rulers like Lord Freezer.
Right.
If
So, Tiamat and her governing body.
Generals?
We're not saying like you need to
Tiamat and her key players. What's the appropriate terminology to describe that?
lieutenants.
I mean, he described it perfectly. Her governing body, everyone that's in charge of this fucked up world. And I'm guessing that goes both ways, because if she's in charge of the entirety of hell, she has governing body down there too, right?
Seems
Likely.
like.
Although I believe that Giles here was going to keep his head down in hell so as not to get themselves demoted.
That depends on the situation in hell. I was
Aye.
rather hoping for discretion to operate within the best of my ability.
I think that's probably the right call.
Along with, how does this work? If we enter into this contract, can I just communicate with you telepathically? Or would we need imp messengers or something like that?
Communicating is not something that can merely be done through telepathic bond, though generally when someone becomes a warlock of a creature like me, I can communicate with you in dreams and the like.
Oh, I have that to look forward to. Interesting. Would it behoove our negotiations to have a better understanding of hell in its current state?
Do you think the contract hinges on such knowledge?
Not really.
I feel like it could.
I'll point out we are on a bit of a time crunch, so
No, this is true. Depending on the situation in hell, does anything change? I don't know that it would.
any idea?
If the situation in hell is as it was when I left, then there is still the case of Tiamat existing in the mortal plane and manipulating the Well of Souls, which is effectively the currency of my plane. Either way, our goals are still aligned in that regard.
Yes. It does neither of us any good to have you gallivanting off doing anything rash, which I don't believe is something that you will do either way. I think we are most at risk in this transaction.
Should there be something in the contract that if either party falls under the control of Tiamat, the requirement to aid as null and void?
I believe that would fall under the jurisdiction of betrayal.
Okay.
If either side changes allegiance and suddenly starts operating as an agent of Tiamat, that is expressly against the purposes of this contract that we are drawing off now.
Okay. And what happens in that case?
In that case,
those are terms that we should discuss.
yes. In that case, so let's say, should our man Giles here fall under the influence of Tiamat, which is, I believe, strongly likely once you go back to hell. I don't know that the terms of our agreement should change. You will still funnel power to me, as I will endeavor to overthrow Tiamat and ultimately break her hold over your consciousness. While Tiamat reigns, it is in our best interests to continue to cooperate. And I think putting in a breaking clause over something so simple as mind control or domination would be dangerous for either of us.
The danger there is if mind control is employed and I am suddenly a servant of Tiamat, it would be dangerous for you to still be connected to me. You've never done negotiations like this before, have you, mortals?
I have made plenty of negotiations before, like when I got my first apartment. This is a little different.
I
What
literally
the
had
fuck?
to have. I'm 3 years old and I was born in a swamp.
Oh my god. Okay. I will step out of the dome at this point and he'll be like, hi. I hate to do this, but I think I'm the most experienced with shady deals here.
There's nothing. This is all above
And
board.
this is you're dealing with a devil.
Yes.
Like, even lawyers are scared of this guy. So how about this? You start working for Tiamat. I don't give a fuck about the power, honestly, but since this thing is magically binding and it's going to be out of both of our controls, you immediately get demoted.
I don't necessarily have the power to demote myself.
What do you
Is there-
have the power to do?
Is there a way that the magic could be used to, if you did fall under the control of Tiamat, that your memories of us would be, like, wiped or suppressed?
That is entirely possible. That could be worked into the contract.
That might help. Saying.
No,
And
that's a good idea.
what if you work against us for reasons other than Tiamat?
It could be written into the contract that if I work against you for any reason whatsoever, my memories of you would become null and void, which would make it very difficult for me to continue working against you.
Or to continue, or to begin working in our interest again, because you would no longer remember what those interests are.
Why would he switch sides 2 times in a row?
Mind control. And then getting his mind back.
We could attempt to put a clause in the contract that if I am under mind control, my memories of you are temporarily suppressed until the mind control abates, in which case it would revert. Which would be more dangerous because the memories would still linger, they would not be erased. However, I wouldn't be able to access them, so I wouldn't be able to give them willingly. But someone with enough mental prowess might be able to dig deep and find them. Though
Assuming they knew what to look for.
I am still a pit fiend, it would be nothing short of Tiamat herself that could extract them from me.
Would not an archdevil aligned with Tiamat be able to accomplish the same?
Archdevils are on the same level as Tiamat, so nothing short still applies.
See, when Tiamat rose, I assumed that she gained a new level above even the archfiends.
I do not consider her any way elevated.
Now, is that hubris, or is that knowledge?
He scowls at you.
I thought so. I think it unwise to underestimate Tiamat at this juncture, especially as she has overthrown everything.
Indeed. So, while Giles is working on the contract, what's the knight doing in this time? Apparently nothing. Is Luna up to anything in these
I have
moments?
been muted, right, I see.
Okay.
But no, the knight's just not been comfortable with anything going on this whole time, so he's just kind of keeping to himself.
Mm-hmm. So is he staying in the dome and staying out of these things?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Luna? What's she been doing with the time?
I have no idea.
Fair enough. Well, that leaves us with Giles writing out the contract then. He's doing his best to adhere to the clauses that you've given, but this is the part where we get into some checks. So
Yeah, I want to, before we start making checks, I want to clarify John's side of the contract would be to, if Giles succumbs to mind control, he will suppress his memories, however, continue to supply power to John. Would like the contract to be written so that only John is known to Giles in as much capacity as possible to eliminate the danger to the rest of the team. And additionally, should Giles succumb to mind control a message in dream format or a messenger in imp format will tell us that Giles has succumbed to mind control, that we might be able to do something about it in terms of our own knowledge. Yes, no?
Yep. I am.
Are you literally drawing up a contract right now?
I'm not going to be able to write out the entire contract. I am just trying to
You can hammer that out between sessions.
get details in my head. So, obviously, Giles is trying to write out a contract with everything that you have stipulated in it. Okay. So, I want the party as a whole to try and make a series of checks, because you're all allowed to look this over and suggest any changes you'd make. So everyone's allowed to make a check here, be it whatever you want to look at the contract for. And I'm not going to lead you guys anything here, but whatever you think your character would be good at in this situation, everyone can make an check to do, and then describe to me what you are trying to do. So let's start at the top with Al. Al, are you even looking over the... Can you read, Al?
Cool. No, here's the thing. I can't read, so I'll fucking arm wrestle him to make sure he's not lying. I don't know.
Okay. You challenge Giles to an arm wrestling contest, and he just dead stares at you and shakes his head.
Yeah, I was scared to do it. I'll trust. I'll sadly trust books with it.
Okay. So that sounds like he's passing the buck to John.
Yep.
But we're going down the list here from the top. Luna, are you taking any actions on this contract? Are you going to read it over?
I can read it, sure.
Okay. Are you checking for anything in particular?
Bullshit.
Right. That could be construed as either wisdom or intelligence. So that could be insight or just straight wisdom. With a 10, you don't find any direct bullshit. There's no double speak. It does seem to be a fairly it's a long-winded contract. You can tell it's a lot of lawyer speak, which is just a lot to slog through, but there's nothing that's jumping out at you as manipulative or bullshit.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move down the list to Croc. Would you like to make any checks on the contract?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Crack would just like to read over it and just get a general vibe from the language. If it's kind of reading it in the head, and just basically just try to vibe check to be does it seem like he's committing to the lawful the lawful nature that he touts as being his, and just being a nice upfront sort of deal maker.
So for a vibe check, that's similar. You can either make me an insight or a wisdom looking through the contract.
Same thing, so.
Okay, 14. Again, you find much the same as Luna does. It looks like he's just written out in very, very, very long-winded common, making it ultra specific, everything that you guys just discussed. His freedom, an alliance, what goes wrong if he gets mind controlled, the memory thing, all of that in as long-winded common English as possible.
Is there any mention of anybody else in the party in the contract other than John?
There's a specific clause about John, but it's put down so it's not just the party as a whole. So like if one betrays, that doesn't mean all betray, but effectively it's written so if one betrays and then everyone sides with that one, the party betrays, the contract is void for all of them. But if one betrays Giles and then the rest of them side with Giles, they're not invalidated, but that one then is.
Okay.
So it's person by person. You're not all just lumped together as a group, which again makes the contract very long-winded because a lot of it has to be like copy-pasted, and he can't just copy-paste. He has to write it out anew, like freehand. So it's a lot.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
And that's what you get. That moves us down to John.
Okay. So, there is nothing in this spell that helps me raw. However, is as you draw knowledge from spirits of the past, using a book worth 25 gold, my spell book I'm sure counts as more than 25 gold.
It does.
Could I bring back like a lawyer spirit or something to assist me in some capacity with this check to look over this contract? Rules is written, no, so it's kind of an interpretation thing.
I was going to say, if you did, what do you think the skills of like a lawyer would be? Because my thoughts were in this situation, it would be like insight, maybe deception, investigation, all skills you already have.
Exactly. So I'm just looking for any kind of bonus that this spell and that these ancestors could give me to influence this check to pick up on something else, some kind of like little jargon.
So here's the way this spell works. Pick something you think might be relevant before you say what you're going to look for.
Yeah.
Check that skill, and then tell me what you're looking for in the contract.
Okay. So I'm going to burn the spell slot regardless, because I like the flavor of it all. And then I'm going to use my investigation to look through the contract for any kind of double dealings, any kind of shady speak, anything that was not deliberately discussed that directly benefits Giles and directly harms me or another party.
Okay. Yeah, make I believe that again would be investigation.
Yeah. Oh, 26.
26. Okay, so the clauses are pretty harsh, and you also notice that like so for Giles, if he betrays you guys, it's like you're banished back to hell. All ties are severed. You lose all like benefits of this contract, which is weird because like the benefits are his freedom, and it's not like the spike is going to just reinsert itself.
Yeah.
But also in pretty much all of the clauses, it's like, and it's one of those things where like it's written so standard that you think it might just be put in every infernal contract, but it's like if you invalidate this contract on death, your soul is like condemned to hell to blah blah blah, put in the system. It's that typical Faustian deal of if you fuck up, it is normal that your soul is forfeit. That wasn't necessarily discussed out loud, but it's in the contract like so blatantly, like there's no double speak around it.
Yeah.
That it's almost just like so out there that it's like, oh, he just assumed this and didn't put it into words, but has handed us the contract with it in, so he's not trying to hide it, but it's there.
Okay, so yeah, none of that.
Also, there is enough in this contract that you can tell, like, there's no necessarily like, and here's how to contact person if phone number. So like, if you were in direct eye contact with each other and something happened to each other, you'd be compelled to intervene. But if you're in the mortal plane getting yourselves killed by a dragon and he's in the hells, there is nothing in the contract that says, like, one or other of you has to suddenly spring to the other's aid if they don't know it's happening. Which you're picking up on in, oh, this contract does require an alliance, but it's an alliance of if they're there at the time. It, like, for both parties.
Okay. So,
But that means, like, if he contacted you guys and was like, something's going on, this affects both of us, we need to deal with it, you might be compelled. And if one of you got, like, the sending spell and could contact him, then maybe he'd be compelled. But it's very, like, this very much contract hinges on communication, and there's no terms set for how you guys are going to communicate.
Okay.
So, like, it's a solid contract, but there are definitely gaps where you're like, how's this going to play out?
right. Okay. So,
Well, hold on.
okay.
Before you, like, start saying, this is what I want amended, because everyone's going to get a chance for that to discuss. Knight, do you want to have a look at this contract?
I don't really have a whole lot that I can add to it. It's not really in my background.
Okay, so you want to stay out of this part of it?
I will trust in the group.
Okay. So, assuming that the group has the knowledge I've explained as a whole, unless John is holding back what he's read from the contract, do you guys want to discuss what terms need to be changed before you get back to Giles?
Yes, my power up is permanent. I stole his power. I'm not giving it back.
Okay. Al wants his power up to be permanent.
So is this assuming that John has explained the stuff that he spotted?
That's up to John, but I would assume this is shared knowledge.
Oh yes. No. There's nothing that John's been a part of that he didn't articulate to anybody who was remotely interested.
Cool. I think in that case, Croc would just point out that God, how to phrase it? Yeah, so is John the one signing the contract, or are we all signing the contract?
In my mind, this is a contract specifically between John and Giles.
That's what I
No.
thought.
Yes.
No. Everyone is
Well-
mentioned in the contract, and everyone mentioned in the contract needs to sign for it to be valid. Because any party mentioned in a contract that won't sign is not valid.
That changes everything, though, because Luna
That
wouldn't
changes
sign
everything. This is specifically between John and Giles. I'm the one putting my ass on the line. I'm the one receiving the benefits. No one else is involved. I specifically mentioned that.
If you want it to be no one else is involved, then that removes, like, a lot of the clauses, but also means that the party can operate outside of the deal and could go against Giles, which means, like, okay,
Giles
so,
is paying for his freedom right now. He has no other say.
right? No, that's fine. Okay, but so in character, Giles is going to be like, okay, fair enough, and he, like, is going to erase a lot of the contract, but then in its place, there's a clause of, if the parties start actively working against or turning against Giles, John is required to inform Giles that is happening as part of the, like, covering his ass part of the deal. If John is the one putting himself on the line here, then John needs to inform Giles if the parties start going, we need to turn on that guy and stab him in the back. And he's going to put that in the contract and hand it back to John as a, like, and now this is the deal. How does the party react to this addition?
Well, since Croc has no intention of ever stabbing Giles in the back. Krog's fine with it, but I don't know
Mhm.
about everybody else. Including and especially John,
Does
since
it
his ass is gonna be on the
specifically
line.
say? Does it say that the entire party specifically has to go against Giles, or so? Say if the knight decided, hey, fuck this pit fiend, and the rest of us didn't agree, but the knight started acting against him. That's
It's-
not the party. That's the knight.
Which is
Giles
fine.
still required?
According to the terms that Blaze just stipulated, that Giles just stipulated, all that I would be required would be to inform Giles of the impending betrayal.
Yeah. Not even act to stop them. Just let Giles know that it was happening, and that was the
Yeah.
state.
I
of affairs.
understand that, but act to stop the party as an entirety, or I'm sorry, inform him of the party as an entirety's betrayal, or just each specific member, like
Any
separate.
dissent within the party is how it would be worded. So, like,
Individual.
if any individual starts going, man, we should really fuck that Giles person up, like, John would be required within the bounds of the contract as soon as physically able to, like, when he is next in contact with Giles, he doesn't have to go out of his way in the stipulation to find Giles and tell him. Just when he next speaks to Giles, to be like, hey, the knight was, talking shit about you and saying that we as a party should turn against you.
Cool.
Right. Okay. So additional addendums
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted put forward. The damnation clause coming out. You're not getting my soul. Not a fucking chance. Your freedom for power. That's the idea. There is no soul. There is no currency. That is off the table.
And Giles is going to do his best to debate that point in saying that this clause only comes into effect under a betrayal. So your soul is absolutely not forfeit if you don't at any point betray Giles within this contract.
At what point is my soul no longer subject to the terms of this contract? In the
If-
event of death, or if requisitioned by some celestial body that works against you, do you then gain possession of my soul? Upon
It-
death, the termination is contract. Or the contract is terminated.
Yes, if John dies without betraying Giles, the contract ends and John's soul can go to wherever it's intended to without influence of this contract or Giles.
Okay, yes and no. So here's what Giles writes down. If John's soul permanently passes on, then this contract is no longer valid and he gets to go wherever he goes. But he does not specify death because he is well aware that in adventuring parties, death is very impermanent.
So is
Fair enough.
betrayal. Betrayal can have so many different names. That's not a good word to use.
Then what would you suggest, Little Faye?
I'm not suggesting anything. It's John's contract. I don't care.
Alright, how about this? In the event of a betrayal, which we will hammer out the definitions of
Mm-hmm.
in a moment. In the event of a betrayal, you want my soul. I don't plan on betraying you. We are aligned to the end of removing Tiamat.
Very good.
Should the betrayal clause be triggered, and my soul is forfeit, I will become your protege in hell.
And, like, you've only ever seen this, like, now, but Giles smiles. And it's not like a sinister smile, it's like a, oh, you son of a bitch. Like, he actively enjoys putting that clause into the contract. Like, you're aspiring to be a devil. Oh, I can't wait for this. So, yes, he puts that into the contract, and then he pauses and goes, and now there needs to be consideration. So, quid pro quo. If I betray you,
No.
Hmm?
You guys need to define what betrayal is for both sides.
We will.
Absolutely, we will get to that. But if I betray you at any point, John, and this contract has not been invalidated, My soul is forfeit to you, as all things are equal.
Oh.
So you have a very risky clause in this contract now where you're playing betrayal chicken. If you betray him, you burn in hell for all eternity. But if he betrays you, you get a pet pit fiend.
Yes. I find that amenable.
Burn on
Yes.
hell.
And everyone else in the party can see that John is being baited into putting something in the contract that is incredibly dangerous. And now we move on to trying to define betrayal. So this is where a negotiation starts. What do you, John, consider betrayal?
The action of betraying. Thanks, Websters. Get the fuck out of here.
Using the word to define the word. Wonderful.
Alright, so I think a good generic definition of betrayal, a good starting point, would be any actions that directly go against our explicit plans.
Explicit plans, yes, good.
Or implicit plans.
The act
And
of
he pauses.
betraying, you just fucking look up the definition of betray then, my guy.
Any actions that directly or indirectly go against explicit
Indirectly.
or implicit.
This could be very dangerous. What if
Yeah,
either
okay.
party does something
fair.
indirect that invalidates the deal? Because this goes for both of us. I don't want to indirectly do something that makes me your pet. I don't think you want to indirectly do something which would be fairly easy to maneuver. Indirect betrayals are a large talking point in the courts of hell.
Okay. Any willful actions. How's that
Willful
cool?
actions, good. And he writes down. It's almost like he's coaching you right now.
Yeah, I sort of feels that way. Any willful actions that directly or indirectly go against either explicit or implicit goals as defined under this contract.
John, your quill sounds like a keyboard.
It is exceptionally clacky.
And you notice that the what is it? The useful item has turned from a clipboard into a typewriter.
I didn't even imagine it as a typewriter. I imagined it that you've got like a pen, but every time you move like along to the next letter, just it changes to just a single stamp of that letter, and you're just going along and just going click, 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 click.
That sounds like the worst to use. Holy shit.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. It's all of the drawbacks of the printing press without the mass production.
Yep. Okay, so willful, direct, or indirect betrayal.
Explicit or implicit goals.
So it's goals specifically.
I don't know how to define it in a more general sense without it being too vague.
Okay, so Giles is actually going to help you out here. Goals or mortality? Because if you don't explicitly state being alive as a goal, getting blown up because he fireballed you and an enemy nearby is no problem whatsoever. Doesn't count as betrayal. So he's just going to put that in, that basically it's not okay for either of you to kill each other.
I feel like that would be implicit, but fair play.
It's a hell contract. Everything is overstated.
No, that protects us both.
You might also want to include something where minions of yours or friends of yours or family of yours are also not allowed to interfere with the contract, and if you do not stop them from interfering with it, that is considered betrayal.
Very good, little Faye.
For example, if someone outside wanted to take actions even if you didn't agree with it. It's indirect betrayal.
And Giles will add that in like direct language into the stipulation to make it clear. And at this point, Giles is now looking expectantly at John. And kind of glancing around to the rest of the party in case they have anything to add.
One last thing. Well, at the moment.
Yeah, until this spawns another 20 things.
Yeah. One of the major limitations of this contract, seemingly, much hinges on communication. As part of this contract, you will give me access to a means with which to communicate with you. At will.
You do realize, if I write this into the contract, there is no way you can claim ignorance or claim that you had no way to contact me. If you come into knowledge, the moment you do come into knowledge about betrayal, if you do not willingly use the method I give you, which would cost spell energy, which may harm you in the long run, to communicate these intentions to me immediately, it would be in violation of the contract. If this is not put in the contract, you would be at the whims of when I communicate with you, but you would not be slave to spending your spell energy to contact me immediately as soon as you knew I was being betrayed by any party stipulated in this contract. Do you wish this clause written in or not?
Let me see if I can recall what's already at my behest. Technically, should I come into any capacity to contract to any capabilities with which to contact you, the stipulations of the contract already apply.
Indeed.
So if I come across a scroll of sending, perhaps, all that it does in not having that contract or that clause in the contract is ensure that should I ever need you, I have no direct access to contact.
How immediate and direct do you want this communication to be? Do you want to be able to communicate with me once every day at dawn? Do you want to be able to communicate with me at a moment's notice? Do you want to communicate with me once every 2 weeks as some kind of check-in?
How about?
And he's still sweeping his vision to the rest of the party in case anyone wants to chime in with this.
At a minimum, 1 daily use for free without relying on my spell energy. We'd be relying on your spell energy. A cast of the sending spell that targets only you.
And what consideration would I get for this clause?
John.
Would I be able to communicate with you once a day, John?
John, this is a bad idea. If you're unconscious or something, that won't work.
Well, if I'm unconscious, I can't communicate with him anyway.
Exactly. That would break the contract.
Clever little Fae.
I've done some dealings with contracts.
If I'm unconscious, it would break the contract?
If you are required to communicate with him once a day, and you are, for example, in a coma, not communicating with Giles once a day invalidates the clause of that contract and has you in breach.
Oh, no, that's not what I was talking about at all. He would supply the capacity to communicate once a day.
Right, and he's asking
Yes.
for consideration because that's the way the contract works, and herein lies the danger. You're asking for something needs to happen on the other side. What were you saying, Luna? Sorry?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
The only way you can get around it is if he supplies it, but then you're allowed to contact him whenever you want. Otherwise, you're beholden. But it still falls under the if you don't contact him as soon as possible, that's betrayal.
Interesting.
Is there a way to make it so you guys have a mind link? Like all the time?
All I'm looking for is a method of communication that doesn't exhaust my resources, doesn't tax my capacity.
I believe if I was mind linked with John permanently, it would have detrimental effects to John.
Yeah, but
And you.
No.
What
I
about
can
if he
get
gave you the capacity to ritually commune with him? That way it wouldn't tax your... you would spend, 10 minutes in, contemplation to send a short update to him and receive a short update in turn. That way it doesn't tax anybody's spell energy, but it only works for him.
Yeah, so out of character, I'm confused about what Blaze and Dream are saying about the stipulation in the contract that would cause breach if I was unconscious. I don't understand that.
So if you, in the contract, are capable of immediately contacting Giles to let him know about betrayal, and say you're in a situation where you're in combat and you spend all your spell slots and then can't contact him because you don't have the spell slot, that's breach because you didn't immediately let him know. You could have done.
Or
It would have put your life in danger, but you could have done. Therefore, technically breach.
also if it's a specific time of day or once a week or whatever and you're unconscious or something, then that's also breach.
Because you've missed a check-in.
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Yeah, I wasn't stipulating any of that.
Right.
I was just saying, here's a cell phone number. Call in case of emergency.
Right, but you need to add a clause where you're not obligated to immediately update unless you are capable of giving him an update. Like if you're like there
Yeah.
has to be a stipulation of if I'm unconscious or I'm incapable, then it's not betrayal because I was not able to control myself.
And you do need to voice these stipulations because Giles is like a devil. He's happy to let you walk yourself into a contract, which is very dangerous and would put you in breach. Because even if putting you in breach, he doesn't tell you that you're in breach and continues to act as if everything's normal, then when you die, you go into hell.
I thought
Like
he becomes
this is the dangers of this
I thought he
contract.
becomes the devil's pet.
Protege.
Yes,
Yeah.
But that's
protege.
still in hell. That's still in
That's
hell.
still in hell.
Maybe.
still
I mean
not
the
great.
pit fiend's not in hell right now.
Yeah, true. I mean, you could become his protege in Faerun.
Barbados.
Okay. That's fucking derailed me. Barbados?
Well, Faerun is really cold right now. Barbados is quite warm. He might want to take a holiday.
To be fair,
I am now imagining John serving a pit fiend mojitos on a beach.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, he has been trapped in this place for ages. He's just about to get his freedom. I could conceptually see him going on holiday.
Yeah, Mitch might want a holiday.
See,
Oh,
so back to the game.
yeah,
Sending is on my spell list.
right.
I don't have the capacity to cast the spell Sending. So, without that capacity, I am still, by the same logic, in breach because I theoretically am able to
Yes.
cast the spell. Just
Yes.
because I can't cast the spell doesn't mean that I'm, not beholden.
Right.
But-
So you need...
So having
why-
that emergency lifeline to send the spell without costing my energy. So one free cast of
Yeah.
Sending, specifically to Giles, a
Yes.
day.
That's one way of putting it. Another way of putting it would be trying to debate with Giles. Well, only when I'm ready and rested and able and I'm not in
Capable.
danger. And you'd need a load of clauses to make sure that it was safe for you to do it. Or, like you're saying, you could ask for a ritual, and at that point, you'd only be in breach if you had chance to cast the ritual decided against it for, as stipulated in earlier contract, betrayal reasons, like willful betrayal, decided not to, then you'd be in breach. But if you try and do the casting and get interrupted, that's not technically breach, because again, willful.
All you need to do is be like, if I'm capable, then that's not betrayal.
So
wow, capable and safe. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me
That's fine.
let me write something up here.
Otherwise, a constant stream of energy from Giles to give you that emergency call is like you're constantly in breach if you don't like contact him immediately.
Which would mean in the middle of combat.
It would mean
like,
any
as soon
time.
as like in the middle of combat in something super dangerous, if you found out about a betrayal, suddenly you'd be like, shit, guys, I need to, instead of casting a spell this turn to kill the thing, I need to tell Giles that there is some shit going on.
We're just in combat fighting and John just disappears.
He just pulls out a cell phone and is like, babe, something's going wrong.
No.
Oh,
He
no.
disappears because he betrayed the contact and didn't contact.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and disappears because now he's in hell.
I mean, that's the worst case scenario. I was thinking of best case scenario, which is him having to be
It's
on the
John!
phone in the middle of... Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's John. Why was I even thinking best case?
Also, the thing I said earlier about friends, minions, or family, you should probably just change that to other people in general.
How about other people that you're aware of?
Sure.
I would not want to be in breach for things happening outside of my awareness.
I understand, however, if you hire an imp to hire an imp to hire an imp that you have no knowledge of to interfere with the contract.
Plus
If
forgetful
I've hired-
spells.
If I've hired the original imp willfully, I am immediately in contract breach.
Fair enough.
If imps in my employ are working against you, however, and I don't know about it, I am not in contract breach. The same for you and your party. If you are ignorant of contract breach and they are all having secret meetings without you, you are not in breach. However, if you know of these meetings, I must be informed immediately.
Within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours.
John.
That goes both ways, John.
I'm trying to find a way.
You can't add a time limit. It's dangerous unless you can add a clause
No.
that says
I know,
you're not
I know.
responsible if you're unconscious or incapable.
So if I'm dead for 24 hours after finding... Yeah, I guess.
Or
But
sleeping.
if I'm dead...
If he's dead, do you bring him back?
If he dies and has not breached the contract, he goes wherever his soul is destined to go. If he dies and breaches contract, he comes to me and serves as my protege.
You should add it that he has to bring you back.
Well, that would be interesting.
I mean, it
You're
only benefits
asking
him.
for a resurrection consideration so that John may exist longer so that he may end up in breach of contract?
Yeah. If that's how you want to word it.
Sly little Faye.
I mean,
Very
it
sly indeed.
benefits
you
you
see-
to have him alive longer.
You see Giles considering this, like tapping his chin, like, "Oh, that's a technicality, but I think you've got me."
She has a point. That actually does benefit both of you. It means that if John gets killed by something, you bring him back, the contract continues, and there is more of a chance that you end up owning him.
Yeah.
You're really good at this.
Playing me,
I'm sorry,
but
don't
it's
ask
working.
It's okay. No, you're welcome to keep it to yourself. I was just commenting.
Okay, so Giles is currently writing that into the contract with a limitation of once a year.
Oh.
Because he's not willing to just fucking resurrect you on repeat.
Okay.
In case you guys are like, I have a stupid plan. Let's send in the guy that can't die.
But what if he dies like one day and it's 1 year, and then the next year is tomorrow and he dies again?
Then the year will have rolled over, but he'll have spent his resurrection for that next year.
My brain hurts. you would res him both times then, or is it like a year from now?
When I say a year, I would
Mhm.
assume that the clause would reset upon the new year. Let's write that in, and he will
Right.
specify that
Is it
on the new year,
256 days, or is it just like human years?
human calendar years.
I would assume you would prefer
Are we
devil
not gonna
calendar
ask
years.
John how he feels about becoming an immortal because the devil keeps fucking resurrecting him?
Only once a year. No, wait, in the event...
He's so casual.
And I think, well, actually, would the resurrection follow the normal rules of resurrection, i.e., that you couldn't bring him back if he died of old age?
Yeah, that's cleric resurrection. This is a devil.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Like, is it just if he dies in, of combat or something?
It would be if he dies, full stop.
Oh,
If
okay,
he
well.
ages to death because a spectre has drained the years from him, I am still fully capable of rewinding the clock on his body and placing his soul back in. The one stipulation that would invalidate this is all resurrections on any plane by any being, including the gods, requires the soul's willingness. If John stops being willing to come back, he passes on, and there is nothing I or anyone else can do about it.
Oh,
And
that's
that's not a breach of
betrayal.
contract.
That
That's not a
is.
breach of
Yes, it
contract.
is. John, you don't
Clever
understand.
little
That
fae.
is.
No, we write in that that's not a breach of contract,
It would be a breach of contract.
which is
If
why we
you're
write it
not-
in as an exemption.
I don't believe it is an exemption, John.
We write it in as one, and it can be.
It is not.
That's his kickback, though. You got to understand. Like, it needs to be.
There needs to be consideration. In
That's
all clauses, there needs to be consideration.
Yep,
Is it
that's what
not?
he gets from you being immortal. You're his immortal servant. Until you decide you don't want to die, then you're his undead fucking servant.
Yeah, which means that if you get to say no, then he would also get to say no, and that leads into being a bit of a problem for you. Right, still money. I can bring folk back from there as well. Just find me some diamonds and I'll bring you back.
Do you want this clause or do you not, John?
So the next question about this clause, so let's say I die tomorrow, you bring me back, I die the day after that.
Mm-hmm.
Per the clause, you resurrect me once a year.
Yes.
We roll around to next year, anniversary of my death. That would be the resurrection for the year, or I've already been dead a year, it's over.
I suppose by the clauses of this contract, I would have to resurrect you after the next year.
Although,
Ad infinitum until I die of old age.
If you wish for there to be a clause in the contract that you are not resurrected if you die of old age.
Well, how
What?
does it work? If I die of old age and you bring me back, you turn the clock back?
I am capable of doing so, yes.
Huh.
Immortality is child's play for devils. We are all immortal, even the Lemures.
You should make it
Uh,
so that you're always resurrected at your current age when creating the contract.
but with the knowledge that you had until the point of your death.
Physical age and knowledge are not intrinsically tied, but I can add that into the contract if you feel like it is a valid stipulation for your own peace of mind.
Well, because if he has to wait a year to get resurrected, he'll resurrect as a zombie.
The only issue that happens is if I attempt to resurrect him in a year and he's already been turned into, say, a devil or transitioned into some form of spiritual being other than being a soul in an afterlife.
I'd consider that betrayal.
Ooh.
I mean, I would be attempting the resurrection. It's not my fault if it doesn't work.
No. It's betrayal on his part.
No, it's not betrayal because I'm no longer working against the stipulations of this contract, which is to take down Tiamat.
It is about being willful. If he is unwillfully placed in a position where he cannot be resurrected, that is no fault of John's.
What if he willfully, like, what if he dies just because, I don't know, he became a fucking glitch?
Al, do you have
So
any idea how hard that is?
I would be
I don't
attempting to work with the
possible.
Lich.
I'll say as long as the terms and stipulations of this contract, which would be to take down Tiamat, are still being honored regardless of my condition, then there would be no breach of contract. As long as
Agree.
I'm working towards removing Tiamat and not working to indirectly or directly harm Giles, the contract would not be breached based on my death or any weird number of situations. If I was unwilling to return after dying, as long as Tiamat was dead.
Indeed. Well,
Mm.
dead. It depends. If
Oh.
Tiamat has returned to the pit, and you do not wish to aid in her further imprisonment or removal, then perhaps. Because these stipulations do not just specify the mortal plane, John.
No.
Did you define what taking down Tiamat means?
I do have a question about the death thing before we ask about taking down Tiamat, though.
Very well.
Part of the contract is if John dies without betraying you, he can pass on and the contract ends. But now there's a
No.
clause about
Because I would need to try and resurrect him once a year, which means the contract would continue. There was no stipulation about the contract ending on his death, which means even in the afterlife, if John decided to start working for or with Tiamat or betray me, the contract would come into effect. However, once in paradise, it would be incredibly unlikely that either case would be possible.
I thought the contract did end when John died.
No.
Mm-mm.
Like before the resurrection.
Yeah, before the resurrection
It would-
clause, that there was a verbal stipulation that we talked
Yeah.
about that the contract would be over upon my death, and had I not betrayed Giles up to my death, then the contract would be over.
No, remember I
Well-
specifically said not the word death. I said once John had passed on to an afterlife. Because we then got into the whole resurrection topic, and I
Yes.
as Giles very
that's right.
clear about it not being about death.
And we're still on the resurrection tangent.
Yes, and we're still going all the way down that ridiculous rabbit hole.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So if I died
It's not
twice
your
in a
fault.
year and moved on to the afterlife, the contract would be over as long as I hadn't betrayed Giles.
As
Do you
long as you hadn't
really-
betrayed Giles and moved on to the afterlife.
Do you really need to limit it to once a year?
I really feel like it should be more often than that. But I haven't died yet. It's been
We're still in the negotiation phase. How often would you like it to be? There would need to be a larger consideration for shorter periods of time. The more power I'm having to spend to resurrect John, the more I would need to get out of this deal.
How
on
do
the
you
other side of
get
things.
power back?
Didn't you just say resurrections were trivial?
Mm-hmm.
No, I said it was within my power to turn back time. I didn't say it was trivial. I just said it was within my power.
How
Just
much
that immortality was trivial.
Indeed.
How much
were you
power
saying,
does it take from you to resurrect him?
Approximately 1 human soul.
Oh. So what if, provided you have a human soul, you can resurrect him no matter what?
If John has provided the human soul to balance the scales, I will
No,
resurrect you
What are you,
no,
times as
stupid?
many places.
He's gonna be
Okay.
dead. He can't provide a soul if he's dead.
No,
no,
sorry,
we
what
are
we
not
do.
Provide the soul
sacrificing human
beforehand.
souls to a devil.
So yes, so what we do is if I kill something with a particular brand of magic, its soul will be siphoned off to Giles here, and I will get a +1 counter on my resurrection board.
Absolutely. If you kill using that little orb of yours and are able to seal the soul of any mortal humanoid and send it to my charge, I will
Any soul.
absolutely resurrect you as many
How
times
is
as
that a
you
good
like.
idea? How
Have
is
to be
that
a
ever a
Ow,
good idea?
ow! We can take dragons.
Everything has a soul. Does it have to specifically
Humanoids.
be a humanoid?
Humanoids, ideally.
We can give him dragons. You hate dragons. You're in on this.
Dragons
Rat
aren't
souls are
humanoid.
not good enough.
Yes, they are.
What about like a 3-for-1 or a 4-for-1 for non-humanoid souls?
Again, I am not allowing non-humanoid souls because there are many lesser creatures that fuel no energy into hell.
Dragonborn.
Wait, do dragons
Dragonborn
count?
are humanoids.
See?
Orcs.
Orcs are humanoids.
I know, but dragons, I mean, they're grand souls. What a dragon.
If you
I
wish to add
just
a stipulation for a dragon, we can.
meant like, Dragonborn and shit. The hybrids.
And you see Giles
Like-
crack his knuckle and get like this weird look of sadistic glee on his face and would like, I would love to get my hands on a dragon soul.
Well, I'm
Let's-
trying to be in the business of killing dragons.
No, okay.
What?
We are slightly becoming the cult of the pit fiend here.
Not a cult of a pit fiend. Culpable allies. of
We
the pit
are
fiend.
giving
And
him
just,
infinite supply of power.
no, it's just me and what I kill, and he's furthering our goal in the removal of Tiamat.
Yes.
There's nothing bad happening here.
What do you mean we're feeding him souls?
We
There's
haven't done
nothing
shit
bad
yet.
happening here.
Yeah, but we're literally about to sign a contract. Well, John is about to sign a contract to feed him souls.
Ow. We
The
need to do
currency of
something
fucking
drastic to deal with Tiamat.
Devils.
So, Al, I'm feeding him
No,
souls to fuel
no.
my own resurrection. Okay, that's not anything crazy.
And then what?
And then what? What?
Oh yeah, no, my bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, feeding him souls to resurrect you is definitely nothing crazy.
I don't believe so. I mean, there's plenty of evil things that we kill on a daily basis. I mean, look at all the orcs on the way
Yeah.
here. That we're just completely murder crazy. I mean,
I'm
sending
not
them
against
to damnation.
murdering them. I'm against giving their souls to the fucking pit fiend. No
Well,
offense, of course.
they're gonna end
Their
up in hell
souls-
either way because they're evil, tormented souls. So it might as well
Eh,
benefit us.
I don't know
Actually, in
if they're
fact, their
evil, but-
souls would go to their god Grumash, who is a different power,
Mhm.
but an evil one.
Thank you.
If they were sent down to Avernus instead, they could be put to much, much better use.
And the paladins and other soldiers of Tiamat, if they died, their souls would be damned to the hells to benefit Tiamat's cause, and John would simply be sending those souls to you instead to benefit your own in opposition to Tiamat and the demons.
Absolutely, it'd be useful to all of us.
And in what part of this doesn't make you think it's putting a target on our back? Because he just said Tiamat controls the Well of Souls now, and we're straight up stealing power from her and giving it to him instead.
Oh, we already have a target on our back.
Tiamat is not going to
No.
notice 1 or 2 souls being
From
siphoned outside
Tiamat
the
from
normal
fucking
system.
Frieza.
It's
Hi,
freezing.
Tiamat
So-
I'll look at the
currently has an
corpses around us.
avalanche of souls.
She probably would notice if you tried capturing Frieza's soul and giving that to Giles, though. So
I mean,
maybe put in a
Maybe.
stipulation that down the line negotiations can be opened for greater souls, but there is no immediate requirement to supply.
There is an unsettling amount of glee to which Giles writes those exact words that Croak just spoke into the contract.
We're only gonna
Was
give
this fun?
souls if John dies.
No, we need. That's the thing, because if he doesn't have souls when John dies, John doesn't get resurrected. So
Oh,
John is gonna start
no.
trying to build up a fucking repertoire of souls.
So I
Mm-mm.
still get resurrected once a year, but I also get a soul bank of humanoid souls with which to resurrect myself back. I will, and John is going to look at Giles and be like, I will need knowledge on how to capture soul energy from a creature that I don't kill, just in case I don't, land the final blow.
Well, as your staff is currently charged with infernal energy, I would suggest any soul that you kill using fire magic, anything that could be construed as infernal, will transfer the soul into the orb as it stands. If you wish me to give you any more information on how to operate the orb, then I will need time with it to decipher its exact use.
Interesting. All that I want is the ability to, let's say, Al over here punches someone to death, just beats their head in. I want to capture his soul. I had nothing to do with the kill, but I want the soul for the
Then you would
purposes
have
of
to
this
be
contract.
you would have to be quicker than the transition of their soul from this life to the next. And he's going to write down, basically, he will give you a spell much like Spare the Dying. So you have to get with them, to them before normal death saves would expire, then cast it on them, then they would be condemned to die as a soul siphoned into your staff.
And the
Okay.
dying.
And how do we control whether the soul he absorbs goes to you or just gets powered up by the staff?
That would be down to John. Whatever he wants to
He
bank
has
or
full
send
control
my
over
way.
that.
I see no reason to not. It's entirely within his free will.
Is an Abashi considered a humanoid?
Giles takes this huge deep breath and is like, if you send me an Abashi soul, that would technically be a fiend, but I would be more than willing to negotiate.
I feel like we're going to have
So
an excellent working relationship.
Of course we are.
wait, so you're telling me right now that if he casts the spell that you just said you'll teach him, and
And we kill the Abashi.
say an Abachi, it's not going to return to hell. We're gonna imprison its soul.
Oh, absolutely, it wouldn't
Wait.
return to hell. It would be sent to my domain.
Do you need a
Which is-
soul to actually revive John, or do you just want souls in exchange for reviving John?
I would need the soul energy equivalent.
Well, then a fiend or a dragonborn or something should give him +3.
Oh, well, they're under the negotiation clause. If John gets a soul that is above the level of just a regular humanoid, that would fall under the cause of negotiation at a further time. So yes, absolutely, I would be willing to negotiate terms for much more powerful souls for larger benefits. I think that's entirely fair.
Well, that does sound fair.
I am not a very big fan of the soul harvesting thing.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not going to
John-
harvest the souls of the innocent. I'm not going to go out there and murder all the cultists that have helped us because I need soul energy. Nothing like that. Nothing evil. Just benevolent soul harvesting.
But
Like
you
what?
absolutely could.
Like when you kill
As
cattle
long
to
as-
eat.
Yeah.
As long as John is acting in a way where souls that were already damned to hell are being sent to a different part of hell than they otherwise would have, I don't really have a problem.
It's just furthering our cause. It's helping Giles.
And who are
It's
we?
helping us.
Who are we to judge which souls are already damned to hell?
I am me to judge what souls are damned to hell.
That's the problem.
You
That's
kill
the problem.
indiscriminately. You have already killed indiscriminately. You are the most
I
violent among us.
I don't mind killing people as long as I know their souls is going somewhere, not to a pit fiend to feed on. I mean, I'm
Well-
not pretending to be a good guy, but this is fucked. You're taking away their afterlife.
Their soul is
I'll hate
going
to
there
break it to
anyway.
you. Yeah, I hate to break it to you. A bunch of the people that you've killed are going to be eaten by devils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. They've earned it, but they had the choice of,
Yeah.
fixing it when they were alive.
So the problem that you have with this whole transaction is that we get to benefit from it. Is that it? We get more power. We get to ensure our own survival. That's
sure,
what you don't like about it?
but my problem is that you're getting stronger, not that you're taking away people's afterlife. That makes absolute sense.
I think John
No,
doesn't.
they're gonna go to a devil anyway.
They're
I
going
believe
to hell.
You've benefited from this situation, have you not?
They're going to hell regardless. I'm just ensuring they get there. Think of me as the
But he
boatman.
just told you the orcs weren't going to hell, and yes, I have benefited from it, but my deal wasn't stealing souls.
We don't have
I'm
to
the
get orcs.
ferryman
What?
in this instance.
Excuse me?
Yes?
You
What
are
does
not
that
a fairy.
mean?
She's a fairy.
No, ferry like the boat.
Oh,
I'm
is the-
delivering their souls.
Oh.
Are you not familiar? Does this myth not exist in Faerun? Am I?
A ferry is a transportation thing.
yeah, but Croc is 3 years old and grew up in a swamp, so he doesn't know what fairies are.
It
Yeah.
did sound like you said fairy. I thought you said fairy as well.
I did
But
say
they-
ferry, but like Cairn the boatman from mythology, like ferries souls to the afterlife, like that kind of ferry.
I take offense to this.
Well, I didn't mean it like that.
Just
so I'm
call it a
sorry,
ship,
but
man. Or tugboat.
I will call it a ship. I'm just the ship driver, bringing souls to the afterlife,
Yeah, the
ensuring that they
captain.
get what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
But Jazz, just to reiterate, did you not say that Grumash is like evil and the like the hells, or did I misunderstand that?
Gurmash is of a pantheon of God, and I am not aware where purely orcish souls that worship Gurmash go for their afterlife, but I don't believe it's Avernus.
Oh, okay.
Souls that do not worship or follow Gurmash when they are condemned can make their way to Avernus, but it depends on a multitude of factors.
But you know, like all these guys around us that we killed, the ones that were like cavorting with, no offense, but they were getting like devil powers, and the wee guy who's heat the night drank. Do you think it's likely that they're going to hell?
I would believe that they would be ending up in the demon planes, not the devil planes, because it looks
okay.
like there's some Tanaruk goop here from you slaying those, and though they
Right.
seem to have been siphoning my power, they were using it to create demons, not devils. So
Right.
if
And
I were judging their souls, that's where they would be going.
you take
See, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't, trust me. I'm not opposed to gaining more power, but like, what if we will eventually start killing militia people? The militia people, they're just forced into this whole fucked up situation, like you and me, and we'll be sending their souls straight to hell for absolutely no reason.
I think those people are included under John's thing of like those aren't the kind of people that he'd be going after for the soul thing.
Really, the militiamen that we absolutely
Al?
murdered?
Would you be happy if there's a clause in it where only souls that would go to hell or the devil plane or whatever can be absorbed?
No, because
Yeah.
then it's gonna defy the point.
No, that's
Okay.
not going
What's
in
the point of us gathering souls?
Yeah, exactly. No, we're not putting that in there. That's too silly.
He's not happy with
It's-
it anyway.
It's hard for Giles to not show that he is overjoyed in hearing that you don't want a clause to protect innocent souls to go in. Just
Because
smug glee on this
everyone is
fiend's
innocent.
face.
Not
No, think of the
everyone.
consideration that we would have to offer. Okay, let's hypothetically discuss this. Should there be a clause about innocence? What would that cost?
Well, you would have to be able to judge the souls, which is nigh on impossible. What if you judged a soul incorrectly and condemned an innocent? Would that be in breach of contract?
So Al can judge, and then Al can burn in hell for
Yeah.
making the wrong decision.
Well, Al is not signing the contract. Only you are. That has been made very clear.
Well, Al is having a lot of opinions about it, so maybe they should put some fucking meat
Okay.
on the table here.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Basker. It's fucking not Basker. My bad. Books. No. Hear me out. Look, look at me. You all know I'm a very bad person. I'm a terrible person. I rob people for a living, or I used to, before fucking Tiamat rose. Right? What right do you have to condemn someone like me to go to hell?
Mike is right in this situation. If you have the strength to kill them, you have the strength to condemn them, as is the order of things, as it has always been on all of the planes. This is a right that even the gods themselves still adhere to.
I mean, they're all kind of
Well, the gods
bickering,
I
aren't
killed
they?
a lot of people, and the gods never gave me a choice where they go.
What was that, Luna?
I mean, the deities, they're all kind of bickering over this very topic, aren't they? So it's kind of irrelevant.
This is a topic that has been debated since the dawn of time. No one has ever agreed. I suggest we keep it out of the contract, and you simply decide for yourself which souls you wish to claim and wish to not. It will be down to your free will.
That way, if John decides to condemn innocent people for the pursuit of power, then John is also condemning
Condemned.
himself to hell.
Yes.
Al, like,
Indeed.
Yes, but we've helped him.
they're
Because
just
we're
gonna
going
be
doing all
his
the
friend. They're just gonna be
killing.
his
You've
little
seen
minion
him.
friend. They're not
Yes,
really
on
going to
that minion
hell.
souls.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he's not like that bad of a devil. Look at him.
And you gotta think,
Aw.
we are aligned at the same time to stop Tiamat, and Giles needs power in order to keep the devils out of the world, or the demons, I'm sorry, like the Tanarooks.
I
Kill
would
and murder.
also be trying to draw the devils out of the world. There are far too many Abashi running around up here.
Agreed.
And he when he says there are far too many, he only knows of one. That's it. Like, he's been told of the one you told him about, and he immediately considered that too many.
There's one too many.
Yes.
So I've lost track of everything we've talked about in this contract.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna agree to anything until I can read something.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the point where your character would need to make an intelligence check, and then we decide based on that number whether everything's hunky-dory or if something gets through and you didn't notice it.
I
Oh, I have
help.
assistance on this.
I help, and I'm giving you this.
Absolutely. And if anyone else has any abilities that they would like to pour onto this.
Well, do you know what?
How come
I
it doesn't
think
say the title when it links?
I don't know.
that's a good point.
But if you would like to state the title.
No, that's fine. No.
Niles.
Initiative.
Thank you,
Anything
the
else?
night. God, I'm sure I have something that could really,
So
really
just
help
Sleepy's steady aim give me elven accuracy on my intelligence check?
Do either of you have elven accuracy for that to be a thing? Or
I'm a
anyone in the-
human.
Neither
Oh,
of them
right.
are
Is anyone in the
elves.
party other than Vren even a little bit elf?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
I know Sylvan.
Still no. No
My
elven
backup
accuracy.
character.
So let me see.
So mechanically, Blaze is Luna
Aside,
giving
yes.
John advantage and a d6.
Yes.
Okay.
And I still have borrowed knowledge going for whatever the fuck that does.
You would have needed to pick a thing to tick on. Did you pick a thing?
Yes, it was something that I already had. It was investigation, and it never came up because I rolled a 26. But that goes for an hour, so that's just also something that exists, whether it's irrelevant or not.
Okay, well, let me put it this way. You spent the spell slot, right?
Yes.
ticking investigation would do nothing. Let me as a DM help you for a moment and say, why don't you just tick religion, because you're dealing with a devil, it might come up.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go.
Okay. So we've got advantage and a d6, and Kurok was digging through their sheet.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, you could, because you can only get advantage from one source. So,
Indeed.
Triple advantage.
What would that even look like? 3 rolls?
Yeah, it would just be Elven accuracy. That was the joke I was trying to make earlier.
No one has that cleric cantrip. Or actually, druids can do it as well.
guidance.
Yeah, that one.
Guidance.
Yeah, but I don't
No,
have it. I have
I
resistance.
don't have it either.
Damn it!
I have too many con spells.
But guidance is a cantrip, so it's just one of
Yeah.
those things that you just poop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still concentration.
I mean, yeah, but only lasts a round. So
It is, but it's like out of combat concentration.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's concentration, but it's free.
I haven't used 2 of my cantrips yet.
Would you like to swap one of them out?
Don't feel obligated. It's just my soul.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine, actually.
You
Why am I
son of a
looking?
bitch.
Why am I looking into this?
I mean, I already gave you advantage
Souls
and a
of thousands of
d6. If you
innocent
can't make it with
adventurers
that,
gonna fucking
then
murder.
I was going to
Wait.
say, this is all coming down to Luna giving all of the help. But yes,
Wait.
what?
Please, if I cast Find Trap,
Is it
Uh-huh.
a trap in the contract?
can I detect if there are any traps in the contract?
You can try if you would like to cast that spell.
Because I still have another spell that I can prepare today.
Would you like to do that?
Sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Do
I love
that
it
thing
so
you did last time where you break my game. Roll any d20. Just fucking roll me a d20. It doesn't matter what it is. Just don't get another 20 again.
Come on, please don't put this much pressure on me.
I'm gonna.
Come on, did you guys?
I am role-playing a literal pit fiend right now. There are no fucking prisoners.
Oh god. So just roll a flat d20.
Yes.
oh my god.
So close.
Oh, thank you, dice gods.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to tell you more than this, but the entire contract glows. It's in the hands of a pit fiend. It's a fucking contract with a pit fiend. It glows.
It's a trap. Admiral Akbar.
Anyway, would anyone else like to do anything?
The only other thing that I have is enhance ability.
I mean, that would help, right?
Well, no, because it would just give you advantage on a thing, and you're already getting that from Luna. I guess I can cast it on you for wisdom to give you advantage on any insight checks you want to make.
Yeah, sure. I'll take it.
Okay. So it's advantage, advantage on wisdom, and a d6 from Luna.
Yeah. You just
Now
get
roll
advantage on
2
wisdom
nat
check.
ones.
Right. All right. So now it's just what am I rolling? Investigation, religion, intelligence.
I was gonna say, what are you doing? And I will tell you what you roll. What are you looking for?
Right. I am looking for everything that we've discussed in the contract at face value and nothing that is written in such a way that is going to unequivocally screw me over or
Okay.
any kind of hidden contract breaches that could exist that
Right,
have
so-
not been discussed.
So you're looking for double speak, manipulation, and mistakes.
In addition to other things, yeah. Basically, my soul is on the line, and I'm reading everything 38 times
Okay.
to make sure that there's nothing that could possibly screw me over should
So-
I do my
So-
utmost to honor this contract.
Since
Luna's
I'm
like,
since I'm looking it over too, can I say what I'm looking for, or does that not matter?
yeah, absolutely.
I'm
In fact, you know what?
Hmm?
Hold on a minute. There are so many of you helping here. Like, there's enough party members piling in on this that how about instead of just John making one roll, how about John and Luna can both roll with advantage because you're both looking through the contract actively and like you've got party members helping you, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's give you every possibility of success. So how about you both roll an investigation and Luna, you tell me what you're looking for. I know what John's looking for.
I'm looking for like specific wording on like sort of like the take a seat thing where it's something that can be said in one way but said in two different ways.
But interpreted in another. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Righto. So investigations from both of you with advantage, John with an extra d6. 23.
Oof.
Oh, Luna.
So that's a 25 for me with the extra d6.
25. Okay. Now, I'm going to roll in the open.
Luna sees nothing.
Luna does indeed. Well, it depends. Let's see
Yeah.
what this roll is. That's
Oh,
okay. So, this is our Pit Fiend writing the contract and you going over it. You do find instances of things being not entirely clear and being able to like be interpreted in a different way, as Luna pointed out. But John, you find them, and in pointing them out, Giles is forced to clarify, so you get them all ironclad. You've gone over the contract as far as you're concerned now, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. So this is going to have to be something that we might have to talk about after session. We're already over time, like out of
Yeah.
character. What exactly this contract is? We're going to have a week to do it. But it looks, to your understanding, as John, ironclad, that you've debated with this Pit Fiend. Both of you have got what you want out of a contract. Both of you got consideration. You've ironed out an alliance where you both benefit. He gets the thing out of his chest. You get power. You get resurrection. He gets souls. Like, everybody's winning here. All you need to do is sign your name. However, as you go to it, you are still aware this is gambling. This is genuinely gambling. This is something where there is huge reward, but there is risk. And that's where you are. It is now up to you, as John, to decide whether you take on this risk or whether you just say, nah, fuck it, this isn't actually worth it.
Okay. I sign.
Okay.
Excellent. As
Ironclad in character as John with everything that he's been written to be.
Yep. So, John, you can immediately gain a warlock level. You now have a warlock patron. Just your soul is bound to a pit fiend right now as you sign.
Yeah.
And we will talk about all that means on the next episode because we are over time. So, thank you very much for that, everyone. I'm sorry that was a just purely like talking session. I had planned for there to be a bit more, but it's a pit fiend with a contract, so it was a lot of hammering
Indeed.
that out.